I think when you can have people like connect with their body, it's an amazing entry point for connection with self. So like, that's why I always say, like, I don't want anyone at this company to be anyone's guru. I want this company to be a safe container where you can take steps towards finding what you need and what you want for your body and for your life. And we're just the safe container where you can express that.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey friend, welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm Jenn Trepic, your host and health coach, here with you every week for wellness without the weirdness. And I have to start with a thank you, first of all, because last week was Salad with a Side of Fries live in New York City. And as promised, we are turning the audio of that event or portions of that audio into an episode that will air in August to celebrate 5 years of Salad with a Side of Fries. So amazing. And I'm overwhelmed by this community and just the love and support and everything that everybody's able to experience. So I'm toying with the idea of a tour. So if you want Salad with a Side of Fries in your area or Salad with a Side of Fries live from your area, let me know. Send me a message. I'm touring. We'll see. Anyway, for today, so funny, it's always fitting, right? Part of what I love about our community and the conversations that we have together is that we're really taking this conversation to a place of whole person health. Right? Not diets, not weight loss, diet culture, Ozempic, all the things that are around us, but really our conversations about whole person health. And today we're going to expand on those themes in the context of fitness and movement with a truly incredible guest. So let me introduce you. She's the CEO and co-founder of WeShape and host of the Feeling Lighter podcast by WeShape. With a background in psychology, she concentrates on the goal that you should strive to feel better in and about your body, not focusing on how to change it. With over 20 years of experience, she's passionate about social change and is leading WeShape's brand mission of bringing awareness to the toxic weight loss culture. Her entire company and product is rooted in intention, movement, community, and beliefs. She aims to help people bring self-love and emotional intelligence to fitness and to create self-awareness through meaningful conversations. So you see why we're aligned. Without further ado, I give you Katie Bramlett.
Hi, Jen. That's such a nice introduction. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm excited. We're doing this. We've connected a few times now. So Now I'm excited for the Salad with a Side of Fries crew to hear our conversations. Shameless plug, Feeling Lighter podcast, the episode that came out June 26th, featuring yours truly. We talked a lot about like debunking food myths and nutrition myths and misconceptions and all that good stuff. So
great episode.
So I encourage everybody, when you're done listening today, pop over to the Feeling Lighter podcast. And Katie, I want to start with your story because I think your story just lends itself to this whole conversation. But really quick, we have to tell our members what they're getting. So members, your recipe this week is for gazpacho. And this particular recipe is super easy, simple, but delicious. It's a great way where you can use like whatever in-season produce you have, extra veggies you can use to like top the gazpacho, even top it with like grilled shrimp or grilled tofu. Delicious. Plus, it's about to be August. So this cold soup is likely just the thing that you're looking for, right? Whether it's a meal, a snack, or even an appetizer. So if you want this recipe, be sure you're a member. Go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. For $10 a month, you get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts from me and our partners, plus access to live Q&A sessions. It's a total deal. Say it all the time. It's really a steal because when you take advantage of the full offerings, you're going to save far more than that $10 cost. It's a no-brainer way to show yourself that your health is a priority. Plus, being a member supports this podcast and this community so we can continue to do this with you every week. So remember, you're going to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries, or just click the link in the episode notes because that's a lot easier. Once you're there, you click the little I agree button, and then you click support now, enter your email and payment info, click subscribe, and you're all set. You'll get this week's recipe for the most delicious and simple gazpacho. Okay, Katie, all the preamble done. So tell us your story. You know, we heard a little bit about your background, you know, in psychology, but everything in your life has also culminated to this with WeShape. So will you walk everybody through it?
Yeah. I mean, even more specifically, my background was more in developmental psychology. So I focused a lot on early childhood and adolescence, sort of the formative years for where we get our belief systems, which definitely plays into some of the work that we're doing here. So yeah, essentially before WeShape, my co-founder and I, even though I had gone into more child and adolescent development, I stayed in that field for a little while. And then my partner said, you know, I really want to be in the fitness space. And I actually had transitioned into the fitness space myself, and he wanted to go online. And I said, okay, this is great. Let's do that. So we went online, and we actually had, I call it the opposite company of what we have today. It was a body transformation company. It was a company that had the primary goal of doing prescriptive diets and exercise programs with the sole intention of weight loss. And, you know, I tell lots of people that my Instagram life looked really great. We were scaling the company. We were scaling the team. We had made the Inc. 500 3 years in a row. Lots of people bought our product. Lots of people, like thousands of people, lost weight. Many of those thousands lost well over 100 pounds. And through that process, I still didn't feel right. And I really sat in that for a while, like, what is going on? Everything is growing. Everything is going. Why aren't you feeling fully at peace with this? So I like to use the analogy of, like, I kind of just started pulling the string on the sweater. And before I knew it, I felt like I was completely naked. And I was like, oh no, like, I do not actually sit well with what we are doing. I sort of was in the passenger seat myself in the diet culture, thinking that I was, quote unquote, helping people, when in reality, I could tell that many of those people, while they had achieved their weight loss goals, were not actually getting what they wanted at the root. They used the vehicle of weight loss to attempt to get that, but they weren't actually getting it. And that is why when we look at the data and science around diets, around weight loss and weight gain and yo-yo dieting, we often see that they don't work, and people often gain the weight, if not more, back. And I have a theory and belief it's because people are using that vehicle to validate their self-worth. And that work is done outside of weight loss. So we use many different things in our life to get us what we think we want, which is that self-worth, careers, money, weight loss, the perfect partner, the kid. Like, there's many ways that many of us do that. I think that's the human condition. But, you know, I started realizing, like, I don't actually think we're helping people in the way that I hope to. So we decided to start WeShape. And my co-founder at the time really felt like the fitness industry in general really lacked a quality standard for what, like, quality fitness was. Our culture defines fitness or quality fitness as how many calories you burned, and did you push through that, and did you almost throw up, and all of crazy metrics that actually aren't metrics for quality movement and quality exercise. So he's like, there's no standard in the fitness industry. And I want to come in and set that standard and be focusing on movement and what the human body actually needs today and what the human body actually needs to be in terms of sustainability for the long haul. And what are we doing in our exercise program that not only functions for that program, but then functions throughout the rest of our life? And so he's always been kind of a movement geek. And he was like, I want a product that we can create that's a technology-driven product that can have this very scientific, specific movement-based philosophy, and then have a technology built around that so that people can adjust movements and workouts in real time for exactly what they need, so that it could be replacing a personal trainer and giving them a high-quality exercise program. And then I said, well, I really want to address this mentality, emotional side of it. And we said, well, you do your path and I'll do my path, and we'll put the paths together. And that's essentially how WeShape was born.
I love it. And part of what we want to talk about is, like, your path and that, right? Like, yes, we'll talk about the activity piece. But I think because so many of us, like your old company's approach, so enmeshed in us, right? If that's even you know, it's not the right application of the word, but whatever, we're going.
It's been normalized.
Right? Yeah. So even before we get into, like, decoupling that, I can also hear people saying, oh no, I know diet culture, but I don't have that. right? I don't have that anymore. Or I see that in other people. But for me, we always think we're different. And I say this with love. But what are some indications that diet culture is influencing our thinking or even like has a hold on us that we probably don't even realize is a function of diet culture?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just share my own personal experience. I am one of the leaders of this company, and I'm still processing the thoughts around my body. And even though I know better in a way now, that doesn't mean that I have completely rewired the thoughts and the thoughts don't come in. So some of the ways that I see it show up in my life is through comparison of other people and their bodies, through disappointment with my body getting older and not being able to either do certain things that I used to do or changing in its appearance. I often see it reflected back to me in my own children. When my daughter says, "Oh, does that have sugar in it?" I go, "Where did you hear that? You probably heard it from me, or I exposed you to an environment that," like, right? It's everywhere. It's inundated. It's, I put that shirt on and I beat myself up because I don't like how it looks. Or, so I think we should be clear that sort of like part of the issue with diet culture and toxic exercise culture too is this black and white thinking. I think I should be clear that we're not going to solve that problem with more black and white thinking. So the ability to move from like, I'm in this, to I'm aware of this, to I accept all the things that come from my past with this, and realize that my goal may not be to wake up every day and feel great about my body and to not have those thoughts, but to be actually less critical and judgmental and maybe strive for neutrality and to be less judgmental of those thoughts, like to be okay with being in the gray versus solving this black and white problem with this black and white solution.
Yeah. The thing that's coming up is also, like in my mind, as you're saying this, is also what we're really looking for.
Yeah.
Right. And you were talking about it before of what we're really looking for is this self-worth piece. And we think that that's connected to this body of something, right? I guess the question is like, what does diet culture tell us about self-worth? And what are the neutral conversations about the body and self-worth, or even figuring out what we're really looking for?
So I like to bring in historical context here because I do believe that like things that our mothers believed, that our grandmothers believed, and their mothers believed always come down in some way, whether we know it or not. And so just to hold context to the idea that like women not that long ago were literally selected based on their physical appearance to be married into a family. And that family that they were married into changed the potential status of their own family that they came from, right? Like that was a thing. We will pick your family that you're marrying into, and it will likely be based solely on your physical appearance, right? Oh, the prettiest sister got married into the family, and now our stature as a do you hear what I'm going with this? That wasn't that long ago that all of those decisions were made for women, and they were primarily made based on their physical appearance. And so like to just know that that's some of our roots, I think is like really important to understand, where we basically were trained that how you look determines your future, determines your life's quote unquote happiness. And so I just think it's important to understand that. And so it's no wonder to me why people think like, and then you have the industry that actually perpetuate those messages today. And people may be like, "Oh, Katie, that's so crazy. I have choice. I'm not getting married into a family because of my looks." I'm like, I hear that. And, women still base a lot of their worth on how they look because our current society, even though it's wrapped in a different package, it's still the same thing on the inside, which says you will be treated differently. You will be accepted or not accepted. You will be like, all of these things are told to us. And there's actually like evidence that we can find that say that that's true. And so I think there's a direct tie. And I think that one of the things that I always think about when I get tangled in that web is I actually do this thing recently where I like picture my body as like a whole body. And I think about that tangled web of messages where I want to get sucked in. And I think about where that lands on my body. And it's like all at the top of my body and my head. And it's loud and it's fast and it's critical and it's judgmental and it's comparing me with other people and it's all those things. And then I think about who I actually am as a person and who I actually am as a soul, or even if we want to get woo-woo and be like as a spirit in a physical body. And I sit in what that part of me is, and it always goes way down into my feet. And it's like slow, and it's certain, and it's kind, and it's graceful, and it's loving. And when I get wrapped up in that web, I do the best I can to pause and understand where those real roots are and where I actually feel the most secure in me. Even if I get tangled in that web and go there, what I really want is that feeling of that rootedness of who I am. That tangled web, that toxic culture makes me believe I will achieve that feeling if I participate. But the truth is, we don't achieve that feeling. The only way to achieve that feeling is to have that belief in ourself. And it's a very tall order. And I don't know if that's making sense, but like, it is business.
Yeah, no, it's making 100% sense. And I have chills as you're saying it. So it's right. And the piece of that I think is so powerful about what you're talking about is there's a thinking and there's an embodiment aspect to all of this, which is also what ties into how you guys do this with WeShape, right? Because we're tackling both the thinking side and the movement side that helps us embody, that thing. And then the other piece is even in the words that you use to describe one versus the other. It's like, yes, of course, the energy of the second is 100% what we're all looking for, And so I'm curious, like this phrase self-worth came up, in our conversation now and before. And so identifying that as, sort of like that underlying desire or the thing that we're looking for. How do you define self-worth? Because I actually think it's a hard word. Like, I don't know that people are like, hear it and we know it. Like, we're not all thinking the same thing when we hear that word.
Yeah, that makes sense. For me, I define self-worth as the ability to express my most authentic self, regardless of other people's opinions. That's when I feel like I have the most self-worth. Like, who is the authentic me inside? The who am I, not who should I be? The who I know myself to be. And how do those parts come out in the most authentic manner with the most loving people that I've selected to be in my life? And how do I get those parts out? Most of the parts that used to come out of me were the parts that checked boxes. You should do this. You should do that. You should be on this diet. You should do this exercise program. You should sleep this many hours. You should drink this much water. You should do this. You should do this. You should do this. Now, I'm working towards creating more space between that thought and that behavior to say, should I?
Right.
And being willing to accept the parts of me that say, no, you shouldn't. And I can offer an example of a recent experience that happened to me if you're interested.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have been in one-on-one therapy for years. I've had 3 different therapists in 10 years. Like, I kind of wrapped my work and then I moved on to another one. And then I had wrapped my work with her and I moved to another therapist. She was wonderful. She had a lot of credentials. This last one, she did a lot of important work with me. But I had this weird feeling inside about like, do you need a break from therapy? Is this methodology of therapy just like chasing the next thing? And then there's going to be a new methodology. And so I thought, why don't you have a conversation with her about this and share your inner experience? She's the therapist. So I went and shared the experience with her, and she kind of got upset with me, essentially, for questioning her methodology. And I paused, and my shoulds were, you should respect her. You shouldn't question her. You should do some more self-evaluation around how you have a part of it. Maybe you shouldn't be thinking those things. Maybe you shouldn't be questioning all these shoulds. I ended this, like we finished the session, I left, and then I said, okay, you have an idea of what you should do based on the messages that you've been given your whole life that, whatever. And then I said, what do you know to be true for you? And I said, I don't want to work with this person. I don't have alignment with them. And that used to take me out for months. Like I probably would have seen that person for like a year before I got the courage to say, I think I'm going to end. And I would have had 35 reasons why I was going to end. And this time I didn't do that. I peacefully and politely said, thank you so much for working with me. I think our time has come to an end. And I appreciate all the help you've given me. And it was over. No explanation, no swimming in anxiety for a month, because I was able to create that space of like, I should, and just I allowed all that to come in, allowed the critic, the judgment, the whatever. And I just sat with it and discovered my truth. And that is just the practice that I am working on now. And that's where I believe our self-worth comes from, is that inner knowing and that decision to be brave and express that inner self and inner knowing.
I love it. And I feel like this is the perfect moment to highlight our partner for this episode so that this can like sink in with everybody for a second. And then because I want to come back with how we can cultivate that space for all, right? Like what are some of the things that we can start to do to help us create that moment of pause for all of us?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Big thanks to Layered Jewelry for supporting Salad with a Side of Fries. The modern woman is multifaceted, taking on many important roles in the various aspects of her life. Inspired by her own multi-layered life as a busy mom, trendsetter, entrepreneur, and influencer, Amber Ridinger McLaughlin set out to create a line of jewelry that lets women create their unique style and celebrate their own beautiful layers. Layered is luxurious and affordable, the perfect combination for the modern woman. Layered allows you to mix, match, stack, and layer pieces that make you feel empowered and beautiful. Each piece is handcrafted to be unique and exquisite just for you. So the Mixed Metals collection is honestly great for any season. The pieces look way more expensive than they are. So the Ray ribbed earrings come in gold or silver for just $53.95. If you like a cuff bracelet, the Jacqueline is just $159.95. And by the way, wedding season in the summer, if you have an event this summer, the Quinn double strand earrings, $69.95, like the perfect earring for whatever dress you have. Just amazing. So also, by the way, these prices are before your 10% off and free shipping for being a Salad with a Side of Fries listener. So text the word layered, LAYERED, to 844-947-4846. You'll receive the link and coupon code right to your phone. Again, simply text the word layered, LAYERED, to 844-947-4846 to get this handcrafted, luxurious, and affordable jewelry at 10% off and free shipping. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. Okay, Katie. I'm like, where do we even start? Because I think also like what I'm hearing from you is learning to shift, like find the space between that autopilot, right? That default thinking, and the one that says, wait a minute, right? This isn't actually what I want. And somewhere in developing that space, we can also find this body liberation.
Hopefully.
Right? Yes. So what's the process, or where do we start so that we can even at least begin to move in that direction?
Well, I always start with curiosity, because if you're not curious, which is kind of synonymous with open, nothing's going to change, right? If you're definitive and defensive in your way and you're happy with that, that is not my job to tell people what to do. I'm actually trying to tell people like what they should do for themselves. So I in no way ever want to be somebody's guru, if I'm being honest. I just want to share my own personal experience for what has helped me. But getting curious and asking myself hard questions has always been the first step to any meaningful change in my life. So the question that I started asking a number of years ago that I still ask all the time is, are you living for you, or are you living for someone else's version of what they think you should be? Are you living for someone else? Or are you living for you? And I think as women, living for you is considered selfish, is considered like, I can't believe you would say that. It's like we even have to debunk what that means, right? But what I do know in my experience is when I'm asking myself that question, every time I choose me and I choose that authentic expression of me, actually the people that care about me the most in my life appreciate that. They love those parts of me. Now, the hardest part of this work, first of all, it never happens overnight. And that's why I hate diet culture. It's like, get lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. It's like, no, that is not how meaningful, authentic expressions of ourselves come out. I have to do 39 years of unwiring. That doesn't happen in a month, and it may never happen all the way anyway. So just living in acceptance of that and allowing that to be what it is. But I think asking those questions and getting curious and being willing to face reality. Oh man, some of these parts of my life, I am definitely not living for me or for the truest, authentic part of me that wants to come out. I'm doing things I don't really want to do. I'm giving my life's energy to things that don't actually bring a lot of meaning for me. One of the hard things that can happen through that process is when those parts of you come out, you're in a way telling other people that this version of me has just had a little bit of a software update. And some people don't like the software updates. And that is hard. But if you can stay brave and courageous and keep doing the software updates, the people that I have found to be most meaningful in my life, they love the software updates. They come back to me and reflect those software updates and say, you know, Katie, I really noticed this in you, and I so appreciate the hard work you do to let those parts come out. And the people who don't like the software updates, I can't control that because my whole life has been trying to control that, trying to make sure that the software updates are aligned with everyone in my life to make sure that they're okay with them. But it never really serves me, and it just makes me feel like my life is fake when I keep doing it that way. So first step to it all is just being curious and being willing to have that awareness. And that's the tricky thing too. It's like I can't give anybody tips or tricks because it's all based on what you want for you. So I don't know those parts of you. You only know those parts of you.
Right. And then seeing how that plays out.
Yeah.
Right. And so for you in your work and a fitness company, this has played out in untangling the movement from, and we talked about this in a little bit in our episode last week, like untangling the movement from the desire to change the body.
Mm-hmm. I think when you can have people like connect with their body, it's an amazing entry point for connection with self. So I don't like advertise this, but you know, our goal here at WeShape behind the scenes is to take people on a journey from self-betrayal to self-liberation, right? So like, that's why I always say, like, I don't want anyone at this company to be anyone's guru. I want this company to be a safe container where you can take steps towards finding what you need and what you want for your body and for your life. And we're just the safe container where you can express that. And I believe that when people come in to get an exercise program, that's an incredible place to start. So what happens is a lot of people will come in for the exercise program and they'll say, okay, how many times a week should I work out? I'm like, well, I don't know. What do you think? Do you feel comfortable just waking up and seeing what your body needs that day? And that in itself is a small practice in coming back to self. So I believe it's a perfect space, the fitness industry and this company, to begin that journey of how do I connect with my body in a meaningful way so that I can connect with the rest of my life in a meaningful way.
I love it so much. And I'm curious, self-betrayal to self-liberation. And I have somebody in my head, so I'm asking this question. Self-betrayal, say more on that front and how that actually plays into our typical diet culture approach to the movement.
Okay, so again, I'll just use my own personal experience because I don't want to preach at people. I've tried dozens of fitness programs in the past. And when I really look back on my experiences with those, I tried those because someone told me I should. And a good example is right after I had my first daughter, I was in the belief that I had to quickly get back into an exercise program because women's bodies aren't allowed to change when they have a baby, which is absolute insanity when you think about that. So I dove right in. And I'll never forget, I went to a particular fitness class. They pushed me super hard. I was basically taught to ignore the cues my body was giving me. They cared nothing about my postpartum experience. I did it. I went in the car. I cried for a half an hour. By myself, no one could see me because then what? I'm just like a weak person that I can't just like do an exercise program. And then I went home in excruciating physical pain. So I feel like that's a really common example of a way that I betrayed myself in that situation. Had I really done what I felt like I needed, included none of those steps I took during that process. None of it was about checking in with me to see what I needed. It was about adhering to rules.
Right. And in fact, ignoring, so blatantly trying to shut down every signal and communication that was coming from your body.
Yeah. And so that's why I think participating in a fitness program that holds that safety in that container is a small step towards how do I listen to myself? How do I figure out what my body is asking me to do? Traditional fitness culture tells us no pain, no gain. Just work harder.
Nike, just do it.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You can see maybe that's a really theatrical way, but like I feel like all of those messages are complete acts of self-betrayal over and over and over again, but we don't call it that. We call that normal fitness. I now call that self-betrayal.
Yeah. Nike led everybody so far astray. Oh, bless it. Okay. So with WeShape, you guys do this through 4 pillars, right? Intention, movement, community, and beliefs. So intention is a lot of that curiosity that we've been talking about. Movement, we've talked about as like getting into the body, but walk us through all the pieces and how it all fits together like a puzzle.
Yeah, most people come to us because we have customized fitness routines, right? We have a technology that gives people exactly what their body needs. But then as they go through the journey with us, they realize, oh, we're actually doing so much more. So I kind of sum up we have a fitness app, and I sum up our app by saying we're focusing on movement and mentality. A lot of people come in for movement, and then we shift into examining the mentality piece as well. So movement is just really like, how do we move our body in a way that is right for our particular body? And the movement side of it in terms of our programming is really just focused on balance, strength, flexibility, and coordination. And all of our workouts are at home with no equipment, just you and your body. And then the intention piece is really asking people in our product, we have a section that you fill out. So when you log in every day, you see it. When you open the app, it's like your why, your intention. Why are you here? And we ask people to put something there, and you can change it over time, but that is not centered around weight loss, right? So that's how we're kind of addressing that. And we talk a lot about your intention and your why, because if it is around weight loss, I'm not saying that weight loss is bad. I'm saying that when we lead with that, the fruits of that effort are often short-lived because it's really just hitting that surface. It's really entangled with those cobwebs I was talking about. So this to me is not about bashing people who want to lose weight. This is actually about me asking people to go a little bit deeper and to really promote body autonomy. If you want to lose weight, that is what you want. But I want to talk about a deeper reason, maybe why you might want to lose that weight. And I want that to be your why every time you log in. And then the community piece is just about like, we're all in this safe container. And it's hard because a lot of what we're hearing here at WeShape is not what we hear in other parts of our culture and not what we hear as the norm, right? The norm is like going to lunch with a friend who's like, oh, I'm going to pass on that because I'm trying to lose weight, right? Like that's the norm. And so being able to connect with people in our community who are kind of on the same mission and encouraging us. So we have a variety of live calls that we do through the app as well, like physical therapists who can help on movement. We have guided meditations that are around body appreciation. We now just have a therapist coming in to do body image coaching. We have community calls. We have experts who come in and do Q&As. So it's just around building community and finding our people in this message. And then beliefs is just around providing resources for our community to evaluate some of the things we once knew and how shedding those beliefs can actually free us in a very different way. And one of those resources is the Feeling Lighter podcast.
Love it. One of the things too, I just want to jump back to the movement piece, because one of the things that I appreciated most in going through the intake in your app and playing with it is how much it's focused on pain and limited mobility, which is so often, and this is a topic for another day, but so often ignored in fitness. You know, it's either Nike, just do it, hardcore hit, or you're not doing it right, or you're at a physical therapist doing leg lifts till the end of time, you know? And so I feel like the movement piece is bridging that gap, and which is where all of us actually live.
Yes. And it's not only where you live today, but it's where your 85-year-old self really wants to be, is like, please remember this part that we need, right? So yeah, it really is about sustainable movement. And I never want to discourage people from exercise programs they enjoy, but I want to encourage people to be connecting with those and making sure that they're listening to their body, that they're taking the cues, that pain is a message, not something to be pushed through. And our technology allows us to cater to people who can only do exercises in bed to very, very advanced, this is not me. Like maybe someone preparing for some type of athletic event.
Like the Olympics,
yeah.
Right?
I always joke that I'm only running if something is chasing me. But my point is that we have like this incredible scalability that can meet people exactly where their body needs to be met. But in the container, listen to your body. Pain is a message. And what your 85-year-old self does want is balance, flexibility, strength, mobility, right? That's what that body wants. What the fitness industry tells us you want is thinness. And
right.
I can't say enough how the 85-year-old body will not want that.
Right.
Will not care.
For sure. Okay, wrapping this up, final thought before we go to our rapid fire off-topic questions. Like movement and self-worth versus the diet culture that surrounds us. Anything we missed or anything else you want to add?
I just want to offer kindness to everybody because in a lot of ways this was normalized for all of us. And so getting more critical and more judgmental to yourself for participating in it or being in it is not going to help. So self-kindness can go so far, and we have choices. This is another thing I live by a lot. Like we have choices. So take advantage of those choices that we have.
I love it. Yeah. And it's the awareness, right? Like we didn't even realize how ingrained this was.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Are you ready for our rapid fire off topic questions?
I hope so.
Okay. All right. What's the best thing you've done for your health this week? And what's the naughtiest thing you've done related to your health this week? Not that anything's actually naughty, but balance.
The best thing I did for my health this week is I went on a hike with my dog in nature. And again, I do my best to not look at things through the quote unquote bad lens, but I stayed up later than I wanted to this week because I was doing stuff that I really wanted to I was doing some design stuff I really wanted to do online. And I just said, stay up as late as you want and do this. This is fun. So I don't typically do that. I prioritize sleep, but I did this week.
Same. Been there. Right. All right. If you weren't an entrepreneur in the wellness space and co-founder of WeShape, what would you do?
Oh, I would definitely be in some type of educational reform or some type of social justice work or some type of nonprofit. I would definitely be doing something like that. Yeah.
Your favorite book on any topic other than your area of expertise, or you could give us a fiction book.
One of my favorite books is actually by Gary Zukav, Seed of the Soul. It's a little bit related to what we do, but it is,
but I'll let it go. Yeah, it's a good one. If you could cure one ailment, disease, or sickness, what would it be?
I would probably if I could cure mental health stuff. Yeah. Like people who suffer from anxiety, depression, all of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
These are hard questions. They're not rapid fire. My brain wants to think about them. I think it would probably be, my superpower would be removing the ego from the human experience.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
I wish I had these questions ahead of time so I could make this basket.
Oh, no. What's the first thing that pops to mind? Oh, don't worry about time. I mean,
people who chew very loudly, really, it overwhelms me.
I get that. All right. Last one. In your opinion, what's the next frontier in wellness?
Body autonomy and self-liberation. Yeah. Personal choice.
Well, Katie, thank you so much for being here. Tell everybody how to connect with you, where to learn more, all the places.
I'd love to offer all your listeners a 2-week free trial that includes all of the workouts, all of our 10-minute recovery routines, and all the live calls with all of our experts. It's WeShape.com/salad and fries. 2-week free trial.
Nice. Awesome. So we'll put the link to that and everything. WeShape.com. You guys are on social. We'll put links to everything in the episode notes as well. But thank you again. Just truly appreciate your time and your perspective and sharing your insights and stories. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been wonderful to be here. Thank you so much. Absolutely.
All right, friends. On Friday, in this week's bonus episode, our nutrition nugget is all about purslane. And you're like, what, huh? Right? So it grows like in the cracks of a sidewalk. Like we think of it as a weed. Catch this. It is actually a superfood. I know. So we're going to talk all about it in this week's bonus episode, Nutrition Nugget, on Friday. Be sure wherever you're listening now, click the plus sign or the follow button so that your app will alert you when it goes live on Friday morning at 3 a.m. Eastern. Well, as always, everybody, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I am at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideofries.com. Please send a message. I want to hear your takeaways, your ideas, your questions. If you want Salad with a Side of Fries live in your area. Plus, this is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. Thank you again to Katie Bramlett for joining us this week. And friends, if you are not already, join our membership program by going to glow.fm/saladwithasideofries to show your support for this podcast, this community, and most importantly, truly support your health. You'll get this week's recipe for the most delicious gazpacho. So until next week, remember, when we shift our relationship to exercise from being a function of changing our bodies that plays into diet culture to a focus on movement and cultivating self-worth, you can truly feel your very, very best. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.